Last week we shared the first images of Château de Purnon free of scaffolding for the first time in almost half a decade. This week, it's time to get up to date on several projects that have been delayed until the scaffolding could finally come down. And the arrival of warmer spring weather means we can get back to some overdue work around the grounds.
Well, what a great milestone to see the chateau scaffold-free after almost half a decade. And of course, it's not just the aesthetic joy of being able to gaze on the chateau's facades and see them the way they would have looked at the end of the 18th century when Purnon was first constructed, but there are also some practical implications of having the last elements of scaffolding removed from this western side of the chateau, because the presence of that scaffolding was blocking our stonemasons from a series of critical projects. And so let's go and have a look at the progress they've made now that the scaffolding has come down. With the last pieces of scaffolding now down, the broken drainage system at the front of the chateau can finally be replaced. And this means that really, for the first time since Flick and I arrived at Purnon, the water evacuation system on the northern facade of the chateau now evacuates to a functioning drainage system. This is great news for the chateau. But look at the progress they've made on the terraces here at the front of Purnon. We'll cover the restoration of the terrace in a future video, but while we've been away, our stonemasons have made the most incredible progress. All of the pavers have been lifted. We've been able to take the opportunity to put electricity under the terrace. They've now laid the base ready for the pavers to return, and meanwhile, amazing progress has been made on all of the decorative elements here on the balustrades at the front of the chateau terrace. So down here in the dry moat on the western side, we can now see the facades without any scaffolding at all. Our stonemasons can now finish the last elements of the render that are right down here at ground level. But having the scaffolding gone has also enabled them finally to reveal the last elements of the stone gutters here on this side of the chateau. Now remember, at Purnon, it was always about managing water. If you think about the chateau's enormous roof, but also the roofs of the two huge communs, or the outbuildings that flank each side of the cour d'honneur, or the central courtyard here at Purnon, when it rains, and when it rains heavily, these roofs collect vast amounts of rainwater. And originally, in the 18th century, that rainwater would have flowed off the roofs, collected in the system of stone gutters, and then it would have been channeled through a series of tunnels before finally being collected and stored in two huge cisterns that are installed in front of the two outbuildings. Now, collecting and diverting all of this rainwater was vital if the chateau's stability and foundations were to be protected. But this water was also a precious resource, and by harvesting and storing it, the water could be used in the hot summer months on Purnon's parks and gardens. Now at the end of the 19th century, the stone gutters ceased to be used and a new system of zinc gutters were installed at roof level. And those zinc gutters emptied into a system of downpipes, and the downpipes in turn emptied into new concrete pipes. Now amazingly, with all of the excavation work that's been done around us, the original 18th century system has survived remarkably well, whereas the 19th century system hasn't aged well at all. The metal pickets that had anchored the zinc guttering into the stone facades of the chateau allowed rainwater to enter, which gradually destroyed the chateau facades, and the concrete pipes became blocked and cracked over time. And so part of the work that you can see here is really the reawakening of the genius of the original 18th century water evacuation system here at the chateau. The stone gutters are being repaired, even though they won't actually be used. And the new copper gutters enter into the original drainage network that now evacuates the water into those huge cisterns placed in front of Purnon's outbuildings. Let's have a quick look at the work that they've done. A couple of weeks ago, it would have been impossible to enter this tunnel without ducking your head. So our stonemasons have returned the tunnel to its original depth, and they've been able to follow the original path of the water evacuation system. Obviously, they've modernised it, but with the manhole off, we can actually see the channels that they've created. And let's go and have a look at the work closer to the cistern. So I'm standing on top of one of the original chateau cisterns. This one is in front of our western outbuilding. And although the top was modernised probably in the early 20th century, the cistern itself, made of the original galouche stones, that's these small stones like this that would have been fitted together, is really quite enormous. It's shaped like a huge dome and it holds tens of thousands of litres of water, all collected off the roof of the chateau and the roof of these enormous outbuildings. And with the scaffolding finally gone, our stonemasons have had the chance to modernise this system of water evacuation. And here we can see some of the concrete water evacuation systems that have been taken out because they ultimately failed. But let's go and have a look at the progress on the dry moat wall restoration. So here on the western side of the chateau, our stonemasons have finally finished the task of dismantling the wall here in the dry moat. They've reached the foundation level, but before they can start the task of restoring this wall, there's one other project they need to do, and that is to create a channel for connecting a new septic waste system that will service the western side of the chateau. And obviously, with the wall down, this is the perfect time to be carrying out these works. As soon as that's completed, they can construct the hidden wall here from the masonry bricks. That's the wall that will take the pressure off the newly restored wall, and it'll also enable us to install the system of drainage that will protect this wall from water infiltration for decades to come. And for those of you who saw the restoration of the dry moat wall on the eastern side, you can imagine exactly the work that they'll be doing. Once that work's been completed, they can then actually restore the wall itself. And you can see all of the stones there as well as the stones collected behind me that will be part of the restoration of that work. It's a huge project, and at the same time that they'll be working on the restoration of that wall, they'll be creating a space over here for a small number of car parking spaces here at the chateau. We've never had any designated car parking before. It's caused all sorts of confusion with people coming and going. It has an awful visual effect on the chateau to have people just parking their cars wherever out the front and around the chateau. So it'll be wonderful to have a designated clear space for parking here at Purnon for the first time in the chateau's history. And there's one other small project that we'd love to share with you. This building has always been something of a mystery here at Château de Purnon. No one knows exactly when it was constructed or what its original purpose was. But because of its advanced state of ruin and its proximity to the chateau, neither our heritage architect nor Flick and I really have any interest in trying to restore it. But we do love the intriguing possibility of using it as an atmospheric entrance for a walking path into our woods and prairies. Now, our stonemasons have been clearing it out and gathering up many of the galouche stones that they can use for the restoration of the stone gutters around the chateau and also the wall on the western side of the dry moat.
Look at this incredible spring weather, and spring means one thing: it is time to get the robots going. What do you think, Truth? You love the robots, don't you? This is the brand new Luba 3 and I'm super excited to have a look at it. Instructions, manual, sidebars, bumper bar. That's the top for the charging station, Truth. Oh, look at this, Truth, look at this guy. Look at him. Look, what do you think? Wowie. Accessory kit, charging station, left. Oh my gosh, these robots, I just love them. We've been using them for 2 years now, and you can't imagine the amount of time we save. Bumper bar, key. That's it, ready to roll. Where will we put it, Truth? So this year's version, the Luba 3, it can map up to 100 zones, 100. Crazy, it can do 5,000 square meters, and it has LiDAR right here. So it's going to map the entire cordon for us, and that's gonna be its job. Charging station. Actually, while the work for the terrace has been done, you may remember that we used some of the old channels for drainage to add electrical conduit, which is here, and it will actually come out here, so we'll have a power point here, but not ready yet. Hello, you're a good girl. Welcome to your new home. So, let's get it going. You can see this lawn really needs a mow. Open the app. Okay, here's the exciting part. Start mapping. Auto mapping, suitable for neat level lawns with clear boundaries and grass shorter than 10 centimeters. Okay, that is not us right now. So let's manually map.
Mapping a task area.
Ready to map. Start mapping. Are you going to join us, Truth? Great, your lawn has been mapped. Finish. Task area mapping completed. That is the quarter honneur ready to go.
Well, that's no doubt the first time an Aussie rules football has been kicked on our quarter honneur, so a big shout out to all of our Australian friends. It won't be the last time, and we're coming to you from this spot because when we set up on the bridge, the excavator arrived straight away and started doing all sorts of work there. So here we are in the middle of our park.
Yeah, there is a lot happening at the moment, as you saw on today's walk around. But we just wanted to actually take this moment to say a huge thank you to everybody who's sent us messages of support over the last week. Last week was such a massive milestone in the history of the chateau and all the work that's been conducted here. And we have been overwhelmed with messages. Thousands of you have written to us, and we are just so incredibly touched by the fact that so many of you have joined us on this journey and so many of you have shared our emotion in the restoration and the demounting of the scaffolding. And so a huge heartfelt thank you to you all for your lovely messages.
Well, what a great milestone with the last pieces of scaffolding finally down, the last slate shingle attached to the chateau's roof, our stonemasons working on the final projects on the exterior of the chateau that will culminate in the return of the chateau lions to the bridge. We can't wait to update you on that project's progress in a few weeks' time, and then the action will shift to inside the chateau. So many projects beginning with the western side of the ground floor of the chateau, those wonderful principal rooms, the grand salon, the other great reception rooms in the chateau, and we'll share all of the progress on that restoration with you in the months ahead.
It's so exciting, isn't it, to start the interiors, and so much happening here. And as always, we will take you on every step of the restoration journey of Château de Purnon with our free weekly video here on YouTube. But if that is not enough for you and you would like to dig deeper into the restoration, we post an exclusive members bonus video every week for our Patreon members or our YouTube members plus Patreon access. Otherwise, we post frequent updates on all our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or just hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and we will keep you updated here. See you next week.
Truth, ready, go.